Interactif 24 heures, pouvez-vous confirmer votre lettre d'équipe?
H.
Est-ce que vous préférez la lecture des règlements en français ou en anglais?
En anglais.
For this case, you'll have 20 minutes to make your presentation in front of the judges. If your presentation lasts under 18 minutes, you'll receive a 1-point penalty for every 30 seconds. If your presentation lasts under 15 minutes, your team will receive a score of 0 and the general ranking for this case. If after 20 minutes you have not completed the presentation, you will be stopped to move on to the period of questions. At the end of the presentation, the judges will have 5 minutes to ask their questions. I remind the jury that it is mandatory to ask a minimum of 1 question during this period. If after 5 minutes you have not finished answering the question, you will be stopped. Throughout the presentation, I will indicate the remaining time using cardboards at 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, and 30 seconds. I will make a countdown using my finger for the last 10 seconds. I remind you that it is prohibited to say the name of your university, and if you do, you will receive a penalty. I also remind the public that it is prohibited to use any electronic devices during the presentation, and ask that the public must stay quiet until the end of the period of questions. Before we begin, I'm asking the room to turn off their cell phones and put them on mute so that we don't interrupt the presentation. I will now ask the judges to present themselves, and after you'll be free to start your presentation.
Hi, Isabelle Charon. I'm sales manager with Bombardier Business Aircraft.
Hi, my name is Ophelia. I'm an account executive at Procter & Gamble.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Slot. I'm working with Fizz, and I'm loyalty and marketing expert.
Hi, my name is Alex. I'm in charge of finance at Fizz.
Hi, I'm Tony. I'm the HR director for the web.
When you think of Quebec, what do you think of? We think of community. And community encompasses multiple things, including
business,
Associations,
students, and chat forums. Today, I'm accompanied by Frank, Abdul, Tatiana, myself, Elizabeth, and we are Fate Consultants. Today, we welcome Fizz representatives, and you will find out at the end of our presentation how we will change the fate with community. On the agenda today, we will be covering the analysis, recommendation, implementation, as well as the budget.
So let's start off with the analysis. Who is Fizz? And how do you differentiate yourself from the competition? Well, you're refreshing and you're different because you are a 100% digital mobile service provider. And you also have a wide community of credible users in order to help each other out online. And what are your core values? Well, you have a strong sense of community and family. You have a strong sense of connection, and also you're striving for simplicity for the user. And for your core objectives, of course, as a startup, you're looking to grow as a company. But while talking to one of your marketing and operations specialists, we also found out that one of your great objectives is to increase community engagement. So what's the key takeaway from this? It's that we have to keep those important values while following those ambitious objectives. So since you guys are 100% digital, we have to look at digital consumer trends. So the first one, according to Antivino, which is an e-marketing platform, is real-time searches. People value real-time searches because of its autonomy and its efficiency, because it eliminates an intermediate in the information relaying process. Another important trend is that the consumers humanize their digital experience, and the provider can actually help with that when it comes to giving them a customer-purposed participation platform, and also by creating long-term relationships with their consumers. And the third trend is that the consumer likes to see the philanthropic initiatives of different companies with their digital mediums. So they really like to see social activism, and it's really important to keep in mind that consumers prefer to invest in a company that is doing the right thing instead of boycotting a company that's doing the bad thing. So the key takeaway is keep doing what you're doing this, you keep humanizing the customer's interactions with Fizz, all while publicizing your community engagement. So now that we finished with the analysis, let's get down to the problem. The underlying problem is that Fizz is unsure how to increase its regional market share. And the mandate is to develop a market entry and growth strategy for Fizz to expand its regional market share. So how do we do this? Well, our recommendation is to start offering Fizz mobile and internet services to startups and small businesses through exclusive business plans. So this will allow solid market growth, and it will also allow Fizz to enhance their community engagement.
So one of Fizz's core corporate values is building and establishing relationships with its consumers, and in doing so, creating a sense of community. In every community, the most important and influential member is the leader. This is why we chose to invest in business to Fizness. Now, we know that business to business commerce is not innovative in and out of itself. In fact, the mother company, Videotron, has its own business-catered services. However, we do intend to differentiate from them and not overstep our boundaries when it comes to cannibalization by choosing a specific market sector. So rather than targeting leaders, as in businesses, we will be targeting the leaders of tomorrow. Startup businesses, entrepreneurs, anything between, and even students indirectly, since they are the future of business also. Now, to further justify why we chose to invest in business-to-business commerce, we have three main reasons. Firstly, the size of the industry. The sheer number of competitors and as well as corporations in the industry allow for increased revenues and sales. And in fact, according to Stats Canada, by 2021, it is predicted to have a revenue for sales of $1.2 trillion. And in addition to this, we can reach more of our target market. In addition to targeting the leaders of tomorrow, demographically, we would like to jump on the opportunity of smart connected, meaning Generation X, Boomers, Generation Y, and Gen Z. And there is an abundance of this in the workplace, and Gen Z will increase into the workplace in years to come. Finally, we also believe in the power of influence. The power of influence simply talks about when an employer goes to a firm or any member of a community goes to a leader, they are influenced by that. So if I am impressed by my firm's services, then I can adopt them myself because of the nature of telecommunications services.
Now that we've established our business plan, I want to go over how we're going to pair up with the competitors in the market. So for our competitor analysis, we wanted to look at our business-to-business criteria and measure that with like the major players like Rogers, Bell, and TELUS. And for our phone plans, we wanted to compare them with like their subsidiaries, so like their sub-brands. So with the criteria, we went with coverage and quality, cost, transparency, customer service, and customization. Instead of going through all of those criteria, I wanted to focus in cost and customization. So for cost, we know that Fizz is like one of the most affordable budget phone plans and internet plans in Quebec. So that's our stamp on the industry. And and this basically differentiates us from our competitors already. And for customization is very hard within the telecommunications industry, and many of our competitors don't let their consumers customize their plans. So with Fizz, this is already a given.
Now to elaborate that on just a little bit, for the customization, this appeals to the business-to-business sector as well, because businesses and entrepreneurs have specific needs that need to be satisfied. For instance, a smaller business may want to cut down costs as much as possible, whereas a very tech-savvy business may want to specify their plan to the detail to save as much money as well. It also provides businesses with a sense of community, which aligns with their values as well. There's an increasing importance in corporate social responsibility and social sustainability nowadays. Therefore, in engaging with these businesses, we can create a sense of community and help them as well in a mutually beneficial relationship. Also, we can provide them with a sense of autonomy, as Abdul just mentioned, meaning a sense of control over all of their plans. And who loves control more than CEOs and entrepreneurs? And just to make things a little bit more tangible and physical, we have 4 tangible aspects of our recommendation. The first one being a web page called FizzBiz on our domain, which is successful, as well as a private chat room for the businesses to interact, since they won't want to engage with the general public and then discuss their specific concerns. In addition to this, we want to create a customer service phone line specifically for the business sector. Now, this is de-virtualizing at a minor extent. However, it still keeps everything on the net. And in the early years, we won't need a high sales force to support this. And this is simply based off of the feedback online on customer service. In addition to this, we want to create events alongside strategic partnerships. We are already partnered with McGill and Concordia, for example, and we would like to establish events such as networking events or panelist events in which we can engage with the community, promote ourselves, promote our partners, and really solidify our relationships.
So I also want to reiterate the key idea of this presentation, which is sustainability. Sustainability can be interpreted in different ways: economically, socially, and environmentally. So for socially, we want to by creating these events and by communicating with the community members and the aspiring and inspiring entrepreneurs of the community, we can get a sense of how like the community is like responding to our product, which can benefit us in like the long run and the short run. And also this will basically bring everyone in together and spark up ideas that probably wouldn't be like imaginable anywhere else. So for environmentally, we know that Fizz is already 100% digital and that our waste reduction is very minimal, which ultimately leads, this basically lets us have organic, low carbon footprint already. So that's one of Fizz's main advantages.
FizzBiz. That sounds sexy, right? But how do we implement it in 4 years? We've developed 3 key milestones to ensure that our implementation is successful. The first one, in the first year, we want to have 120 signed contracts with our local businesses. Also, by year 1, we want to collaborate with 2 universities. But you already have that under your belt, so don't worry about it. And lastly, by the start of year 2, we will host our first event. For you, we've broken it down into 3 easy categories, starting with preparation, foundation, preparation, and implementation. In the preparation stage, this is around the first 6 months in which you'll stand up your team, develop your plans, expand your websites, and develop your plans for your business bundles. In the preparation, this is so exciting because you'll hit your first 2 milestones. In this stage, you'll be really reaching out to the community, meaning local partners, your universities, as well as planning your events. And in the last stage, your rollout. You'll be hosting your events, planning for future expansion. How can you really take FizzBiz to the next level? But let's really look into the detail. What do you have to do? We've broken down each section into steps as well as assigned actors that we think could apply. For example, in the foundation stage, we determined that FizzBiz will need to hire 2 employees. The first one being your lead and relations manager. This individual will be going to the universities, the businesses, and building that relationship. You'll have your customer service representative, as Tatiana mentioned earlier. That individual will be sitting on the phone or answering the questions on the FizzBiz website. Lastly, your event planner. We decided to outsource this task simply because your events will be ad hoc. We're expecting you to have 4 events per year, so you don't need a full-time salary for this. And for your preparation stage, this is where you will start collaborating significantly with FizzBiz and the Fizz team. You'll develop your plans and your bundles for your Wi-Fi, your internet packages, and your mobile packages. You will start reaching out to the universities and to the businesses, again, building those relationships and signing those contracts. And finally, building those planned events. Lastly, for your implementation, this is where you're going to advertise your events. In the process of reaching out to the universities, the way that we'll even leverage them further is by asking them to share our events on their social media campaigns. So imagine going to clubs at universities, asking them to share on their personal page. That way we can increase attendance at our events, such as panelists, especially because our events are targeting young leaders. However, every great strategic plan has risks, and we've identified 3 main risks. C is low risk, therefore we accept it, and that is poor event turnout. However, we will mitigate this using our advertisement plan. If we look at risk A and B, the first one being potential cannibalization. However, Tatiana mentioned that perfectly. We are differentiating ourselves from the rest of the group. We are targeting a different market, therefore we're not necessarily cannibalizing Videotron. And risk B is the competitive intensity. As Abdul mentioned previously, we have a bunch of competitors, but we customize. We build that community and we build that engagement.
So this is what it all boils down to, the budget. Budget allocation. So what are the individual costs related to our solution? Well, the first ones are the 2 salaries of the 2 people we're going to be hiring. So the lead relations manager resembles, his responsibilities are going to look a lot like a salesman. And the average annual pay for a salesman is $44,500. And for the customer service representative, the average annual pay is $24,356. And this is all, we found this thanks to Nuvo, a job searching website. So now we've got our event resources. So of course this will vary. It's a very fluctuating price. Depends on the number of people that will attend the event. It depends on the size of the venue, on where we're going to be doing this, if we need a DJ, florist, decor, it all depends. So, but the average cost per one event, according to Event Kickstarter, is $6,420. And these costs were made by calculating the event planner fee, which is $1,152, the catering fee, which is $4,575, and the rental fee for any rental you need, which is $693. And this is all average for any kind of size. Now for marketing, a good base is 10% of your total budget, which was $400,000. So 10% of that budget comes down to $40,000. And for marketing, we really want to concentrate on social media and digital marketing, which is something that you guys obviously excel at already. So we would be using our already employed employees to do this. Now, overall, it'll take 4 years to do this full implementation, and the 4 years of budget will cost us $392,464. So we can see that 25% of this is for the customer service rep. The 45% is for the relations manager. We can see that the 20% is for events, and of course, as I said, 10% is for marketing. So we are under budget by a nice $7,536, which is great if you ask me. It gives us a little bit of wiggle room.
Our key performance indicators for the next while to establish our growth is, again, to have strong community engagement. So having that 160 event attendees in the first year, that literally means 40 to 50 attendees for each event, and we have 4 events per year, so that's not too challenging to achieve. Also, low churn rate, reaching 2% turnover in the turnover rate, and industry standards is about 3%, so 2% is pretty easy to accomplish considering the fact that we're so customizable. And lastly, high contract signage rates. This was mentioned previously. That's just the 120 business contracts that we want to sign in the first year.
And another KPI that we wanted to put is just general satisfaction from our customers, which is really important. We need that feedback both on our website and, of course, via telephone call. That's something we want to achieve, yes, of course.
So in conclusion, today we covered a lot of ground. It started with a simple analysis of the problem and the mandate, and it ended with the future projections for growth for this company. However, all throughout, there was one piece of common ground, and that piece of common ground is none other than community. So now, we would like to urge you to join our community at Fate Consulting, allow us to dictate your fate, and we can ensure you not only success, but sustainable, long-term growth in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, great job. Excellent presentation. You mentioned 3 milestones for the implementation. First milestone being 120 signed clients by end of year 1. How did you come up with 120? Why is it not 620, 80?
So when we looked at we did some research on the market share, and we did notice that Quebec has a lot of startups, right? And yes, 2% could be accomplishable, which would be around, what did you say it was?
4,000.
4,000. We're hoping, again, that's an ambitious task, especially with 30 employees that you have, plus the 2 that we will hire. So achieving that number in the first year isn't attainable. However, in the next 5 years, yes, it will, especially with a pickup in growth rate. However, the reason why we picked 120 was because if we pick, because you'll have 6 months to do cold calls. Let's say you do 40 cold calls a day. You build those relationships and word of mouth spreads. And because you your values align with a lot of these startups' values, you're most likely going to find that connection.
And we only had one employee on this, the sales rep, the representations manager. It's just, we didn't think it was feasible for thousands or over 300 people, businesses, sorry.
There's a lot of talk about events. Could you clarify what these events are and who specifically are you targeting?
Yeah, so the events, they would typically be hosted at a university, and they typically would target young entrepreneurs and university students at the same time, since once again, as I mentioned previously, it's the future of business, the future CEOs, the future entrepreneurs themselves. So typically we have networking events at most universities in general. We would sponsor the event, so Fizz would be labeled everywhere, and just encourage dialogue about leadership and subtly promote our services in the process. And this would allow us to gain exposure, as well as our partners to gain exposure. Our guest speakers would typically be partners with us that have successful businesses and have enjoyed our service. And an example could be a panelist event where they just talk about leadership and answer questions for students. And we could charge a small fee or none at all, but the overall goal is simply to engage dialogue and establish relationships.
And we also thought about doing what you guys already do, street events. But we didn't talk about that too much in the presentation, just because it really depends on the company that's buying our business plans, because it depends on the product that they sell. So we thought that maybe like a hiring convention or panel discussion at a university would be the best option.
And we do events also to target businesses. Because I understand that, I mean, you do events at universities, but if you want to find 120 new businesses to do business with in 1 year, there needs to be either a sales force put in place or something to acquire that business.
Yes, so that's when the cold calls in-house come into play as well. And the entrepreneurs we're hoping would eventually, in the long term, start up businesses. And we really do want to target those new leaders, the people who are new to the game.
And yeah, like we're not targeting too big of a business, because they really need like lots of Wi-Fi, lots of data, lots of coverage.
And we don't want to overstep our boundaries in terms of cannibalization. We still want to remain distinct in our own brand identity that is simply for the new leaders of tomorrow.
Like 1 minute left.
Do you have a specific vision on who you want to cold call? So say you don't want too big of companies, then what's your benchmark? What's your vision for your cold calls? Who are you addressing?
So we looked at Maxime in the class. He's one of the one of the brightest like entrepreneurs in Montreal. We're also looking at Algolux, which is another 3D designing. No, that's another startup within Montreal that's also been very successful. And there's another company called Airy 3D, which has alumni connections within HSC and McGill. So I think the main important thing is that these CEOs and co-founders have connections within the university, because like I wouldn't want to speak to someone from like another university, or I wouldn't want to listen to someone from another university, because I don't feel like there's a personal connection there, right? So that personal connection is very important to us and for our events. And I feel like this personal connection would drive Montreal to a whole nother level.
The presentation is now over. This marks the end of your case presentation. Congratulations. I would like to remind everyone that we are on the silent floor. Out of respect for the other cases being presented, keep quiet until you reach the first floor. Thank you for your understanding.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.